The previous basket is under review.
Welcome back to another episode of Stats by Will and Jim, the college basketball podcast that focuses on the numbers. We are proudly under the Basket Under Review umbrella. Please check out the site and the Discord. Only $10 a month for the best college basketball community going. We are almost at all 32 conferences previewed there. We just put out our staff hot takes that syncs up very well with this particular episode, known as the Take Purge, where Will and I are going to really go in on our bold predictions for the upcoming season. We've also got the season-long pool draft going in the middle of the Discord, Will, which is another little just intricacy of the community. Well worth the $10 to be a part of that. It has been an adventure so far, where we have 18 people, I believe, drafting 10 teams each based on total wins for the season. It's been an adventure. How do you feel about your squad so far?
Pretty good. So I'm going to spoil mine really quick. So we're recording this Wednesday, the 29th. We are roughly 7 rounds through. I have Louisville, Irvine, both Miamis, Ohio and Florida. That was not intentional. It just fell that way. USC, Cincinnati, Santa Clara. I feel pretty good about that. I feel like it's very possible for all 7 of those to get 20 wins.
Okay. Yeah. I feel like you did this last year, correct?
I did not do this.
Okay. So you and I are both new to the format here. My current grouping, 7 of the 10 drafted McNeese, your Tennessee Volunteers, Northern Iowa, Wisconsin, Nebraska, Colgate, and Samford. A little more mid-major flavor to it, but yeah, we're just trying to figure out the right way to play this thing. There are, I think, bonus points for postseason wins and stuff, and it's just a little fun way to get the season going. Another perk, like I said, of the Discord. Also, all kinds of content on the website right now. You can check out Eamon Brennan's Basket Under Review podcast, aka The Burp. We've got Scout Team from Kevin Sweeney and Eric Fawcett. Just incredible amounts of writing on the site every single day. So make sure to sign up for that as college basketball season kicks off. It is well worth your time and your money. It is the best college basketball community on the internet, as stated. All right, well, as mentioned, this is the Take Purge. We are going to really get into it, get bold here. Hopefully we can maybe even rate each other's temperature of all our takes. Whether
you're at a solid 47 after Pilates class.
Yeah, I'm warmed up, baby. I'm loosened. Gotta work out in this morning. For those listening, Will is wearing a fantastic Detroit Pistons throwback.
I can't get the brim right. Sorry, Corey. You're gonna have to edit that out. But so I have like a big bag of hats in there that I've just accumulated over the years. This is my grandpa's. And I think he got it as like a giveaway in a game in like 25 years ago. But it's lasted this long. It is a very good hat.
It is sharp. It has got the true like 90s colors.
It's got like a bent brim, and I'm trying to un-F it here on the podcast.
Well, with the return of the NBA on NBC, Will, it just feels right to see that logo staring back at me through the magic of the Zoom machine here. All right.
I've got from my boy at the local memorabilia shop. I do have a Bucks hat I need to send you. That's like I think the late 90s, early 2000s Bucks.
Oh, is it
would have been Michael
purple?
Redd era.
Is it before?
Yeah, purple.
Before the Christmas tree jerseys where they wore like red and green. Though that was a tough color combination, but the purple and green that felt solid. Okay, we will start quickly with our stat of the day, and since we're not in a conference preview format anymore, I had to really get adventurous with this. But this is sort of applicable to bold takes, Will. So the correct answer, I'm not going to read the correct answer to you. I should read the question to you. That's more important.
No, do it Jeopardy style.
Yeah. How many teams from outside of Ken Palm's preseason top 40 last year earned an at-large bid or would have if needed? That is the question.
I usually look this up every year because there's typically a team that comes from like 75th on back to get one. And I think last year's would have been. I think last year there was 2. Was it Louisville and Vanderbilt?
I don't think Louisville's quite that low. They were really close.
Vanderbilt was like 95th.
Yeah.
I remember they were very low.
Vanderbilt was the lowest. Utah State, I believe, was second lowest. I'll pull it right back up.
Okay, so 40th on back, and typically there's like 8 to 10 from the top 40 that miss. I'm going to guess. Let's go with that number. Let's go 9 from 40th on back.
The correct answer is 11. 11.
Okay.
And I'll just read them because a couple fairly surprising. Memphis, Kentucky was outside the top 40 last year.
Remember that being a point of discussion. Yeah.
Yep. Ole Miss, Wisconsin. So you had two of these teams earn 3 seeds or higher, Kentucky and Wisconsin. San Diego State, my Missouri Tigers, New Mexico, Louisville, Georgia, Utah State, and Vanderbilt, as mentioned. So, and I don't think VCU and Drake would have gotten at large bids. I think the S curve kind of clarified that they wouldn't have. But they were right in that level, getting 11 seeds and ended up getting their auto bids. Bonus, how many teams, and you kind of half referenced this, how many from the KenPom top 25 in the preseason did not make the tournament?
I'm going to guess 4.
Only 2 last year. Surprisingly.
Oh, okay.
Cincinnati.
Pretty good job by him.
Yeah, Cincinnati and Villanova. So one of those coaches fired. One is sitting on a boiling hot lava seat this season. So yeah, if you're that high expectations and you don't make the tournament, it does not bode well for your future as a coach.
We'll note really quick, I took a quick look through, and this could be even further back, but I've only looked through the last 6 seasons. 5 of them, team from 40th on back, 3 seed or higher.
Okay. Yeah.
So you got to find your surprise team this year.
That's tough because I believe NC State is 38th, and that's one of the teams I'm really going to bat for this season, and that will come in the take purge here. But without, anything else to add there, Will?
Oh no, I'm just smiling, baby. I love the idea of getting these takes off our chest. We have you, I, and the boys were in a text group and the DM group on Discord as well. And, we've been scrapping and clawing to get these conference previews across the finish line, all this preseason content too. It just feels so good to, one, have it all done. Like I'm done with all my writing. I think you guys are largely too, if not complete. And 2, to unleash some of these that like we've been building. Simmons did reference this in a pod like 3 months ago, the dry aged take instead of dry aged steak, where you've been sitting on this for a few months and we're ready. We're ready to unleash.
It's time. Yes, exactly. I'm so excited to not write a team preview for another 8 or 9 months and just have a little different format of the way I'm writing, because 100 of those gets to be a little repetitive. All right. I also want a quick shout out to Home Field before we get into our takes here. It is the best place to get your college sports apparel for the upcoming hoop season. They've got all kinds of unique logos and formats to get those logos on. You've got sweatshirts, t-shirts, joggers, jackets, hats, really just an incredible selection there. Throwback logos for your favorite team or some obscure schools to impress your friends and look really cool. If you want to wear Colorado School, the Mines, or Slippery Rock, or something fun, they have got it all over at Home Field Apparel. You can also check out some of the upcoming deals they will have for the college basketball season. Stay tuned for that. They are going to have some new releases. So keep yourself posted on Home Field Apparel. And you should use promo code BURNER15 if it is your first purchase for 15% off. That obviously helps you. It saves you money. It helps us because it tells Home Field that you came from here. And I guess it sort of helped Home Field because they get a sale. So it's win all around if you use promo code BURNER15. Wear one for the team. That's Home Field Apparel. All right, Will, I'm going to give you the leadoff man status here for our take purge. I'm curious if you start with the one that you went with in the article. So we'll see if that is the leadoff. But for folks that have read it, maybe you've heard this one already, but it's time to get Will's true backup for why he went with it.
So I am going to go with my piece for the Basket Interview Hot Takes article. My leadoff man here, 3-bid Atlantic 10.
I love the boldness of it because it has certainly not been the case in recent years.
Yeah, so they have not had 3 bids since, I believe, 2018. So it's been a while. I know they've been sort of, I wouldn't say like decimated by conference realignment because they haven't really had a major piece leave in a while. I'm sure I know UMass is not great, but they really haven't had any conference realignment minus adding Loyola in the last few years. But, through portal, through budgets, through whatever it may be, they've gone from a pretty regular, so from 08 through 18, they had 3 or more bids every single season, which is a hell of a streak. That's a major hat tip. I mean, I don't even think the Mountain West kept up their streak during that time. So with the last few, it's been one bid either last year, 2023, or two bids the other 3 or 4 seasons. I think that this is their year to get back to 3. This is the first year in a while where I don't think the back end of the conference is abject. Like every single team in this conference at least has something going for it. So like I don't love the Fordham or LaSalle rosters, but they have good coaches. I like Darius Nichols fine. I definitely like Mike McPayo heading to Fordham. I don't know if he can turn it around in 1 year, but I think he's going to shore up the back end of that team pretty fast. Even the teams with coaches I'm not a big fan of, they've still got talent. Like I think Davidson has a couple of pretty solid pieces. Rhode Island, as usual, the talent is going to be there. It's just going to be if they can take advantage of it. And the upper end of this conference is pretty damn good. George Washington returns a ton of pieces. St. Louis looks freaking awesome. St. Louis, I won't be shocked if they're in the top 40 at year end at Ken Pom. Dayton is Dayton. They're always going to be there. VCU, they're always going to be there. Even George Mason, who I don't think I'm going to really enjoy watching offensively, is as usual going to be really strong defensively. Same with Loyola Chicago. They've got 6 teams in the preseason Ken Pom top 100, first time in a while. There's a real chance they could end up with 7, I believe, for the first time since they had 3 bids. If either St. Joe's, Duquesne, Richmond, St. Bonnie's, any of those get up there, they could do it. I'm a big believer in this year's A10. Could come back to bite me. Could be a bad move here. But my theory on these hot takes is it's like baseball. You hit on 3 out of 10, you did a pretty good job. I'm willing to swing for this one.
I love that. Yeah, let's be 300 hitters. Heck, if one of us hits 400, if one of us is Ted Williams, then we're doing something right. No,
one of us is Ohtani. We're going 9 for 10 this year, baby.
Exactly. I mean, I love the boldness here because, as you mentioned, the league just hasn't done it lately, and it's always had the conundrum of the teams that aren't in the at-large hunt are still lurking around the top 100, and so they're good enough to beat a top 40 team at home, and for it to be only like a 1 or 2 point spread, like you're not getting these gimme games in this conference. And if you drop just enough of those and they become a Q3 game, then it doesn't look as good on the resume. But it really comes down to the non-conference performance for the league here. And I know it was tough for some of the teams to schedule, particularly St. Louis, who you mentioned. And a lot of these teams have like a non-D1 game on there, which doesn't hurt the strength of schedule numbers, but it hurts as an opportunity to get a bigger win. But man, yeah, I do think they have trended up. There are some good coaches here at the top of the league. And there was a decent amount of retained talent this offseason, especially when you look at the big men with Miles Rubin, Robbie Avila, Rafael Castro, a lot of guys back that maybe you would think would have transferred somewhere else. Amaya Latong at Dayton, another really big breakout name that probably could have gone to a Power 5 school and gotten a nice payday, but stuck around in the A10. And that kind of carryover, I think, is huge for the league. Will, if you don't mind, I have a take that is also A10 related, and we could like snake draft this if we want to. But I figured I'd go with this one because you did talk up how good St. Louis looks. I will go top 35 this year. The Bills, I am very, very high on them. Top 35, definitely at-large caliber. I don't know if the schedule is going to cooperate. They got kind of hosed with their MTE field, and they just weren't able to get a ton of big games. Looking at it right, I mean, they got no top 75 teams on the docket per Ken Pom. San Francisco, Santa Clara, Grand Canyon, all close, but not going to give them like the Q1 opportunities that they need. So I don't know if the schedule will cooperate, but I think they'll be that good. Nice like post-hype breakout team where last year Schertz and Avila had their real hype coming off of Indiana State. This year there's a lot more depth. There's a lot more scoring, provided that they stay healthy. I think this team is going to be excellent with Avila as the distributor from the front court, and then some scorers in well, Paul Otieno is big because now they're going to redshirt Kalu Anya, apparently. So they've got some real bodies up front, and Trey Green in the backcourt, I think, is going to have a big year. So is this bold enough? Will, is top 35?
I think so. So they're what, 68th in Ken Palmer, thereabouts?
65th. Yep.
That's fairly bold. That's a little more than a standard deviation. So my key here for them, and I'm with this take. I don't think that they're going to be that bad defensively. Schertz is a significantly better defensive coach than he gets credit for. When he was at Lincoln Memorial, the D2, they force the most pull-up jumpers in all of Division Two. I think his final 2 years there. They're very good at funneling to the mid-range and winning. Like, it doesn't look like math ball on paper, but it comes out as math ball at the end.
Yeah, they're kind of got that drop coverage with Avila where they can't play too aggressive. They don't force a ton of turnovers, but it keeps you kind of away from the rim and forces you to pull up and not have open kick out threes. And I think that actually helps the defense, even if there's not like a ton of destroyers on that end. Though I do think like Otieno and Amari McCautry can be really solid on that end with their physical tools. And I just like really trust the offense here. If people recall, Avila missed a lot of the preseason with an ankle injury last year. He missed the first month of the year with an ankle injury, basically re-aggravated. So I think there's a lot more repetition and continuity within this system, and that matters quite a bit in the system. Just the reads and the reactions and being able to anticipate where players are going to be. It's huge for SLU. All right, I will pivot now to my take from the Basketball Under Review Hot Takes article. That is NC State going back to the Final Four for the second time in 3 years. It is not going to be the needing a auto bid miracle run like DJ Burns and Kevin Keats did. I just think this team is going to be excellent, and maybe not like a 1 or a 2 seed, but up in that 3, 4, 5. Even if they get a 6 seed, I think they can go on a postseason run. They've got the star in Darion Williams, a guy that has proven it on the biggest stage in March already. He's a tough cover because he can post you up, he can pass, he can step out and shoot. They've got really strong role players that graded out incredibly well in some of the advanced metrics last year with Trey Holloman and Van Allen Lubin and Terrence Arsenault. And then they've got real big like scoring breakout candidates with Paul McNeil and freshman Matt Abel. So I think there's offense capabilities. I think this team can switch 1 through 5 quite a bit with the size that they have, and that really works with Will Wade's defensive scheme. And I'm just buying the upside here as a team like Kentucky last year that was right around 40th with a new coach and a new roster that can ascend all the way up to that stratosphere.
I like this take a lot. I think there's a real path. So when he got hired, I just penciled them in my head as a 6 or a 7 seed. But the roster he's actually assembled, I could see this being a 4 or a 5 without too much strife. It's not like I'm sorry, ACC people, it's not like this is the most difficult conference in college basketball. I think we all recognize that by now. It's better this year, but I don't think it's, it's not like going through the SEC or Big Ten grinders, really. I was really interested that Trey Holloman didn't start that exhibition game. I don't think that's going to last, but intriguing move by William. What is his middle name?
I think
do you remember?
Name? I think it's Frank William Wade. That might.
Ooh, Frank William Wade.
Yeah, I can verify that for sure. But yeah, I mean that just says that like Quadir Copeland is another super switchable defensive piece that played under Wade at McNeese. I think there's a lot of like Alan Breed sucks takes in the ether, and I think he's actually okay. I don't think he's going to be like their leading scorer or anything, but I think he can defend a little bit, give them a little bit of offensive pop, and that's really all they need with everything else that they have. Maybe a big swing piece for them is Musa Sanya, the big old European that they brought over. They needed a backup big. I did not trust Scotty Abubi to be that, and Paul Mbia was stolen by Kansas. But Asanya can, give them 12 to 15 minutes a game off the bench, real size and intimidator at the rim, a nice change of pace from Van Allen Lubin, kind of undersized center. I think this team's defense really works. And as long as they hit enough shots and McNeil and Abel give them that scoring boost that they're expecting from the wing, the upside's really, really high. And of course there's downside. That's why they're 38th. But I do think they have a path to a really high ceiling. And that's why I'm getting all in on the Wolfpack this year.
Mm-hmm. I will note, because we've talked NC State and a couple of other big names early here. Last 5 tournaments, at least one team who didn't make the previous tournament, a 4 seed or higher in the next one.
Let it be NC State. There's a couple other teams.
Yeah, I feel like they're going to be the top candidate for most people.
Yeah, maybe your Iowa's, your Virginia's,
UVA.
Yep, definitely. 2 teams I'm also high on, so perhaps I'm just going with the zeitgeist, but I'm pushing my chips all the way in on NC State. All right, well, back to you. Take number 2. All
right, this one is hot by nature, but statistically not that hot. I need to get like the metal singer Cookie Monster voice where I'm just like growling these out, like my hot take. Like radio guy voice. My number 2 take: preseason AP top 12 team misses the tournament entirely.
Oh,
And
baby.
this is hot by nature because when you look at the AP top 12, you can't imagine any of these teams missing the tournament. I probably should have it pulled up, but the key here, since
I can read
the
it if
64,
you want me to. I can read you the top 12.
yes, go for it.
You got Purdue, Houston, Florida, UConn, St. John's, Duke, Michigan, BYU, Kentucky, Texas Tech, Louisville, and UCLA as your top 12.
Sounds insane, right? For any of these teams to miss?
Yeah, we got good coaches and good
26
players. Yeah.
So 26 times since the field expanded to 40, or sorry, since the field expanded to 64 40 years ago, 26 times a top 12 team has missed the tournament. That's almost one a year.
Yeah.
We didn't have one last year. We came really damn close. So Baylor, 9 seed, UNC, first 4, obviously. Year before that, I don't recall that we had one. I know we didn't have one the year before that, but Miami and Arkansas, 13th and 14th, both missed. So
it sounds like we're due.
Huh?
Sounds like we're due. That's come on.
We're
due theory here. Yeah, we know that on stats.
A due theory. a due Thiero theory. We're due, and it's a weird deal where like I look at these teams and I'm rational. I don't feel comfortable picking the team, but I would lock in that one of these 12 is not in your NCAA tournament in 5 months.
I like it. I'm not sure who I'd pick because I do like the coaches and the rosters assembled here. It might be something injury related. I don't see like the full disaster scenario, but I know there's questions about fit with St. John's and the guards at Florida and Michigan's shooting and BYU's defense. I think there's enough where you've got bites at the apple for a team to end up falling all the way out of the dance that I think it's a nice bold take. I should have made you say the 3 A10 teams that are going to make the tournament too.
I'll go back and do it really quick. My 3 A10 teams, SLU. Can we call them SLU? I feel like that's just more fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Give me SLU. Dayton. I'm just going to buy in blindly there. It feels right pretty much every year to do that. I know Dayton fans for some reason really hate Anthony Grant. I don't really feel like diving into that, but for whatever reason, I guess they do. But I'm going to say those 2 are your at-larges, and then let's spin the wheel on your, Atlantic City title winner. Yeah, sure, why not? George Washington. We'll say they're the 3rd.
There we go. I love it. Okay. You heard it here first, folks. I will not make him pick the top 12 team that misses the tournament, but I love the take. And I do think it makes sense when you look at the historical data of it. And especially this year, like, is the top end talent quite what it was without the 2 classes of graduates that are now gone? Maybe one of those rosters isn't quite as strong as we think it is. I will say someone like Texas Tech, as much as I love them, 1 injury away from a really shaky roster. So
I'll note really quick, 3 lowest ranked from this year's top 12 at KenPom, which a lot of people use as their easiest pick for these. 3 lowest ranked: BYU 18th, St. John's 16th, Louisville 14th. So odds are it'd probably be one of those 3, but again, no guarantee.
Yep, exactly. That Louisville offense, fun defense, we'll see. And if the 3s don't go in, who knows? All right, Will, it is snake draft style. So what's up next for you? Your 3rd hot take.
This is a subjective one, and I can't wait to fire it off. I love these that are hard to resolve.
Oh, yeah.
Oklahoma and Cincinnati should swap coaches. Here it is. Both of these teams need a reset. I know Oklahoma made the tournament last year. There's no shame in losing to UConn. No problem with that. That's fine. But I think we'd agree that through 4 years of Porter, just hasn't quite fired off the way we thought it might. Cincinnati, I think they're going to be fine this year. I think they'll be like 8-9 seed territory. They'll get in. But I don't think that for them, just making the tournament really matters anymore. I feel like if you're Cincinnati, you kind of want to be in the Sweet 16 by year 4 or 5. I don't think that's, given their history, that's not really that hard of an ask. And honestly, with OU, given their history, that's not hard of an ask either.
Yep.
I think, too, Oklahoma, this year's roster, really great backcourt, looks like ass on the front court, defensively at least. They could really use a guy who will hammer in defense even at the expense of his own offense. Cincinnati, really bad offense, really good defense. Could really use a guy who's got great dribble handoff designs, and generally does pretty good jobs with his guards, and usually has a pretty good way to play through a front court member, depending on who that member is. I think a coach swap. They don't have to wife swap or anything. You could get really into the weeds there. They could house swap. I don't know. I don't know the markets there.
Yeah.
But I think, Wes Miller, Oklahoma, Porter Moser, Cincinnati. Let's make it happen.
I love this because I have a take related to one of these teams, so it'll be a perfect launching point. But I love the fit. I love the justification for why this works more than just the idea that it feels stale at both schools. The roster swap is interesting, and we've talked about it on a couple other shows here on Basketball Under Review, both you and me, and then on the Burt Pod that the three man we've appeared on. That maybe these coaches have gone too hard on one way, one style, one side of the ball, and needed to be a little more balanced, or if they tried to overcompensate. Although it does, Oklahoma was good on offense last year. Cincinnati was good on defense last year, and they feel like they're going to be the same again this season. Let's see these coaches try their hand with the opposite style roster. All right, my hot take related to one of these, number 3 for me, is that Oklahoma is a top half of the SEC team, which has not happened under Porter Moser. He has yet to reach the mythical 500 mark in league play, and it feels like just a trope at this point of Oklahoma has awesome non-conference, gets a couple big wins, and then just loses their rudder in conference play. Their last 4 years under Moser, 6-12, 8-10, 5-13, 7-11. And obviously only one of those is in the SEC, but I do think there's a chance that this Oklahoma team ticks back up. And obviously the defense we just discussed doesn't look great. You need a lot from Mo Wagi in the front court, and I don't know if that's going to happen. But Jeff Nwankwo played quite a bit in the exhibition game, and I think he helps defensively as a sort of malleable piece. Tay Davis, Darion Reed, really good athletes at the 3-4 that can be switchable. And then hopefully they get Jaden Jones back. He did not play in the exhibition box I saw, but he is a really good wing defender, another 6'5" athlete that can guard different players in the SEC. This also relies on some underperformance from other SEC teams, which will relate to my next take. That one's coming. But I think Oklahoma can get there, and I just still believe in Porter Moser as a coach. I mean, he's finished 30, 54, 46, and 40 at KenPom. This isn't a guy that's just collapsed because of those conference ratings. He's been in tough leagues. Last year was the best conference that maybe college basketball has ever seen in the SEC. And I think the league comes back to earth a little bit enough for Oklahoma to ascend.
I'm into it. That's a fun hot take too. That's not like this team's going to suck hot take. That's like I can actually see that. Now they got to have they have like a 10-game run every year where they just get really hot from 3 and the opponent gets really cold. If they can time it just right for February, for instance, perhaps the part of the year where everybody's paying attention, I think it would really do them good.
Yeah, if you get it at Kentucky, at Vanderbilt, home to Georgia, at Tennessee, I mean that's a murderer's row. But if you pick
maybe not that one, can you remove that one?
Something more realistic? Sure. How about home to Florida, home to Alabama? They can high variance in those games. That should work. Man, yeah, it's tough when you read through the SEC schedule, but I think Oklahoma, who is 58th in KenPom, is way undervalued there. We'll show it early, and we'll pick up enough wins in that league to get to the top half.
I also got a note really quick. The whole finishing under 500 in conference play thing. I understand. I'm sure you've seen the buzz on everybody has their proposed fixes to college basketball before the season starts, and one of them always seems to be don't let any team under 500 in their conference make the NCAA tournament.
It's like an at-large eliminator.
Okay, fine. Last year, the average SEC team ranked 26th at KenPom. Are you telling me you don't want 7 seeds in the tournament?
Yeah, I've never been on board with that because it just completely ignores the context of how good the league is. It's if you're not top half of your league, why should you be in the tournament? Because what if your league is
Mississippi State, man? Mississippi State entered last year's tournament 32nd Yeah, I'm not going to eliminate an 8 seed because they went one game under 500 in conference play.
Yep. Yeah, I'm with you. I've never been a real proponent of that fix. I get why it angers people, but I don't. I don't need to just set that much of a hardline stance there. You did say that the Oklahoma take was fun and positive. My bookend to that take in the SEC is not that way, and it is that Oklahoma's Red River rival Texas is at home watching the big dance this year. Last year, they barely snuck in with Rodney Terry in charge. And I think there's a lot of optimism with Sean Miller taking over. And they do have some potential scorers. Trayvon Mark, Jordan Pope are back. They've got defenders, Kendall Weaver. Dalen Swain is a really good athlete. But they've had some banged up injuries with their centers. I think they're both cleared for full contact and are going to be out there, Voki Titus and Lasuna Traore. I just think this roster and in game to game flow is going to look wonky and clunky. We are kind of like doing a ringer setup here, so I feel like using wonky as a tribute to Bill is a good way to do it.
The wonky piece.
Yes, exactly. The offense is going to be really painful, and my turn, your turn. And I don't think the defense is going to be quite good enough to compensate. I think this is one of the teams that really feels the brunt of the strength of the SEC. And I know they are 19 spots ahead of Oklahoma right now in the preseason KenPom rankings. I think that flips by the end of the season, and Oklahoma's top half and Texas is on the outside looking in.
Be a big deal for a Xavier contingent for sure. I don't think this is that hot of a take. So I Googled really quick. I made the face because I Googled lukewarm temperature range, and the Gemini AI overview says 98 to 105 degrees, which sounds really hot to me.
Yeah.
I'm rating your take a solid 77.
Okay. Yeah. It's not quite like walking outside and it feels like bathwater at 65, but it is a little bit warm at least. The only reason
98 to 105 for lukewarm is insane.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me at all. Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, if a team that's barely in the top 40 of KenPom is probably not a super scorching take that they're going to miss a tournament. I just kind of liked it as the hand-holding club with the Oklahoma making the top half of the SEC, and just the Sean Miller hype. And if Rodney Terry can make it here, if Shaka Smart can consistently make it here, shouldn't Sean Miller be able to with what they paid him? But I don't think so.
It would be a really funny first result.
Yeah, yes, it would.
I think that's what people need to remember is like sometimes the funniest thing does happen in sports, and that would be well up there for me.
Yes, Rodney Terry made it both years. It was just his roster, not even just the year he took over for Chris Beard. Made it both years. Shaka Smart was a 3 seed his final season. If this is the first time they missed the tournament since they would have missed in 2020, with Sean Miller as the new coach, I think that is a very funny outcome.
Worth noting, he did miss it his first year at Arizona.
Yeah,
I know, like different era and all that, but still.
And he missed it a couple times at Xavier. I know injuries were certainly a part of that, or he missed it once at Xavier in this past tenure. But hey, Texas fans, I'm sure they don't want to hear that with the way their football team has underperformed a little bit, but they're coming off a massive, massive overtime win. So you can be positive. All right, Will, back to you for 2 takes here. We'll go back and forth on them.
Got a banger here. I'm so happy I thought of this one, and this was late last night. Everyone but Zubi Ejiofor will come off the bench to start a St. John's game this year.
Oh, that's good.
I just think Rick is going. This is a prime. And we're setting up for it really well in the preseason with like positioning Ian Jackson as your point guard 4 months ago, and then there's no point guards, and then he's already mad at Ian Jackson. Or Isaiah Sellers might take the ball up the court, or there's no point guards and maybe it's Bryce Hopkins. This roster just sets up really well to piss Rick Pitino off, even if they're good. Like, even if they are a good team, so let's say that they're exactly as good as they are in KenPom. They're 16th, they're a 4 seed. That's a pretty good season. That still has more than enough opportunities to make Rick really angry. Like, there's going to be a deal where, in practice, Josen Sanon, did not go as hard as I wanted him to. He's going to be the 7th man today. Dylan Darling missed 6 shots in a row. He's playing 12 minutes tonight. Dylan Mitchell just can't make a damn shot. 7 minutes. You can just see it. You can feel it coming. But because Ejiofor's floor is so high, because he's a senior, because he's I think because he's easily the most trustworthy player on the roster, that's the one guy that won't get benched. And I could be wrong here. But this feels like a St. John's team to me that's going to cycle through about 9 different starting lineups before they find the one they like.
And I'm looking back at Rick Pitino's starting lineup volume history, and this checks out. He used 9 lineups last year at St. John's for a team that won the Big East. There's always injuries that impact this a little bit, but 9 lineups is a lot. His first St. John's team, he used 15 starting lineups. That was clearly a team that pissed him off a lot. He complained about it ruthlessly in press conferences. By the end of the year, they were starting Sean Conway for a game. If you don't remember Sean Conway at St. John's, that's okay. You shouldn't. So and then going back to Iona, 8 starting lineups with his last team that made the NCAA tournament and was really good. And the year before that, 11 starting lineups in his second year at Iona. So he is a guy that will mix it up, especially if, a guy rolls an ankle. But just as you mentioned, there's enough combustible personalities and one-way players and guys that, if they're playing a certain way, they're getting a lot of stops but not scoring, he could go hard on offense. Or if they're not getting any stops, he's going to start Sakin Ayo Joseph or whatever his name is. Ibeen Ayo, that's his name. The guy who just gets a lot of deflections, and he'll probably insert 1 or 2 of the freshmen into a starting lineup with the hype that Odie has gotten. So yeah, it's going to be a wild mix for the Red Storm. I think this is a great hot take. It's kind of a hotter temperature because there's really talented pieces, but I love the thought process behind it.
Final team at Louisville, 2 seed, really good team. I know they got upset by Michigan in that tournament, but pretty darn good team. 9 different starting lineups. That was a top 10 Ken Pom team the entire year.
He's never satisfied. Rick Pitino is never satisfied.
All right. My snake take here. I love this one every year. This is a great, just like a fun bet. Especially, this is a great haters bet every year. At least 2 of the AP top 3 will not make the Sweet 16.
Oh, wow. Okay, I want to hear the numbers on this one.
So let me pull up my piece from last year because I had this in there somewhere.
Okay. And for people, if they don't remember me listing it, the top 3 is Purdue, Houston, and Florida. Kind of a general consensus for almost humans and computers alike as the top 3 teams this season in terms of both floor and ceiling. But Will, what were you able to find the piece?
Yes. So 2 times, last 13 tries, have even 2 of the preseason top 3 managed to make the Elite 8.
Okay.
So I'm going one more aggressive because I think, you and I are in agreement. Like, talent level's a little down this year. This freshman class rocks, by the way. They already look awesome through exhibitions, all of that. I think we're fine there. But the aging out of COVID years is going to add a little more variance to it. The top end is going to shrink a little bit. I don't think we're going to have like a plus. What did Duke end up like plus 39 last year?
Oh my God. Yeah.
It was like something insane.
Completely ludicrous. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't think we're going to get close to that this year. We might have a team get to like plus 34, but that might be about it. So I'm going a little more aggressive than this implies, but I'm saying 2 of those top 3. So it's Purdue, Houston, and Florida.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
2 of those 3 are not making the Sweet 16. I don't know who. I don't know when. But I'm going strong here, and I'm just going to say, one of these teams might not have a great season. One of these teams might have a great season and get upset. I think they're all going to make the tournament, no problem. I don't have any worries about that. But I am just saying, based on history, and it sounds insane to anyone hearing this right now, 2 of the top 3 preseason teams in the sport will not be on the second weekend. I
like this. This one is well above lukewarm, Will. This is a hot take that belongs here on the Take Purge.
This is beyond lukewarm. This is Luke Walton.
Oh, okay. Yeah, like Houston seems like, this is the most consistent team in the postseason, kind of a defensive high floor type juggernaut. But Purdue, who knows, with that defense, Houston's going to be reliant on a lot of freshmen. Florida's got brand new guards, and heck, last year they won the national title and they almost didn't make the Sweet 16. UConn had them on the ropes until Walter Clayton went on a shot making binge to end the game. So this one is fun, and one that if it is correct, I think will make you look like a real wise man to end the year.
A savant, as they say. So last year's top 3, KU, Bama, UConn. Obviously, KU out in the first round, UConn out in the second. None of them made the Final Four.
Yeah, none, like, so this take would have been correct last year, right? Only one made the Sweet
Yeah,
16.
year before that, KU, Duke, Purdue. So two of them did make the Elite Eight. Purdue, obviously, title game runner up, but KU out in the second round. So it's a fun one to just like blindly bet every year.
And Duke was a Jamal Shed ankle roll from not making the Elite Eight. So yeah. All right. Next up for me, Will, I'm going to go with one of those that is impossible to quantify or very difficult to quantify.
Oh, I love these.
But you mentioned the freshman class and how good it is. I'm going to say that Darius Acuff has a better freshman point guard season than Mikel Brown Jr., which based on like recruiting rankings is probably not that hot, but the hype that Mikel Brown Jr. has gotten at Louisville has been kind of outrageous to me, a little bit crazy, like getting, second team All-American looks from some people. He was great in FIBA U19 this summer, but they played like no competition until the final game. His first exhibition game at Louisville was terrible. 2 for 15 from the field. He made no twos, only 2 assists in a lot of minutes. Not great. That was scary. Kind of showed like what I think his flaws are, which is kind of a weaker frame, not a great like finisher around the basket. Can he get inside the arc? He's an awesome shooter. I have no issue with that. But then their second game, he had a total like breakout performance last night. And he had like 26, 8, and 4. Looked like a stud. Okay, I get why the hype is going there. But I think Acuff is really awesome too. He had a great game for Arkansas in their exhibition performance at Memphis when they kind of ran the Tigers out of the gym. And it just feels like this has close to a coin flip shot of happening to me in my mind. And the public perception of it is that like 80-20 Mikel Brown Jr. is going to be better. So I think this one has a good chance of happening relative to expectations. I'm just not sure how we're going to measure it. Is it by like Evan Mia's BPR, by Porpagatu, or how much better the team is, counting stats, what have you. But I'm going to stand on it. I think Acuff is awesome and a little bit better than Brown Jr. And quite honestly, Brown Jr.'s got more perimeter help than Acuff does.
I think we should ask a 14-year-old who has more aura at the end of the year.
That
kind of seems to be the deciding factor in most discussions these days.
A TikTok poll, who's got more aura. Yeah.
Yeah, Hoopify. I think that guy could help us out.
Yes, exactly. All right, so yeah, that one's tougher to quantify, and we are called stats, so that's a challenge. But I'll say by Evan Mia's BPR. How about that?
Okay, I think that's a good neutral, objective metric to work with, because like win shares can get a little wobbly and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, my number 6 in the snake draft here is another point guard take, and I didn't know how hot it was until I submitted my ballot for voting for All-Americans to The Athletic, and the article just came out what the All-American teams were, and I'm the only one that voted for this guy on any of the first 3 teams, and I voted him first team All-American. I think Jacoby Gillespie is a first team All-American, and I'm talking to a Tennessee fan. Will is grinning.
I have another point guard and first team All-American later than this. I was like, oh my God, is he going to have the same take as me?
Oh, wow. That would have
not Jacoby Gillespie. Don't worry.
That would have been wild. But Gillespie had a huge performance in the exhibition. Our friend John Fendler in Discord posted the highest usage rates for players in exhibition so far. And it's not it wasn't all encompassing. But of the sample he looked at, Gillespie was the highest. He had like a 37% usage rate for the Vols. He played a ton of minutes. There's not like a backup for him. Rick Barnes has done a great job with transfers coming in and making them extremely productive right away. Just go back to Connect and Chaz Lanier for that. And I know he's not the same position as them, but I think Gillespie is that level of talent. I think Tennessee needs that level of production from him on the perimeter. I think this one is a reasonable, bold take that Gillespie finds his way to first team All-American.
Every time I've talked to staffers over there, I know it's a bit of a humble brag, I'm sorry, but every time I've talked to him in like the last few months, they've just been like, I ask for updates on guys, and you're like, yeah, Jacoby's what we thought he was, really freaking good. They're just like, there's not really a surprise here. We knew he was great, and he looks great. So I think that I don't think obviously he's going to have a 37% usage forever.
No.
But even at like 27, like I could see 27. That's possible. I mean, he's going to have the ball in his hands a ton. He does give one thing I noticed, and I'd really caution against people taking exhibitions seriously at all. Like Tennessee played Bishop Boswell 27 minutes in this game. Bishop Boswell might not play 27 minutes in the entire month of February.
Well said.
I'm just
Well
being
said.
honest here. It could be he might not do that in February, March, and or April. But
Tennessee's playing in
point being,
April. You heard it here first from Will Warren.
yeah, I'm going to be there, baby. He's going to be playing in April against us in the media game. Um, sorry, too mean. The thing I noticed immediately with him last year, Zakai Ziegler could get his shot off, but like I'm sure you noticed when you watched UT games as I did, a lot of those were sort of like late clock barf ups where like it was just like there were no other options. He had to get it off. Zakai was very confident to a fault and would just like launch it over the point guard from 27 feet. When it went in, it was cool, but it didn't go in that often. Gillespie has this sidestep that's, I hate to do like the whole NBA thing, but it is a little Harden-esque, where like he can get the shot off over, he's got like fairly long arms. He can get it over even like taller guards, smaller wings, and it goes in more frequently. That is a dimension Tennessee really hasn't had at point guard before. I'm not saying that like I don't think he's going to be better defensively than Zakai. He's taller, which helps, but Zakai was more of a pest than Gillespie. But I think like he just adds more offensively in different ways, and I think that's going to open some statistical lanes up for him that weren't available to Ziegler.
Yep, and there's not quite the same wing scoring punch that they've had. So perhaps he does have to, carry a little bit bigger of a load that way. I mean, last year at Maryland, Gillespie was 99th percentile in RAPM per CBB Analytics, 99th percentile in win shares per 40 minutes, 97th percentile in PER, 99th percentile in wins above replacement. Like he was this kind of level, projected as the 32nd best player in the country per Evan Mia this year. So I'm just taking a little bit higher to send past a couple of the freshmen, a couple of the other really highly touted point guards, and become a first-team All-American. All right, Will, I just buttered you up talking Tennessee. What direction are you going to take this in now?
The biscuit has been buttered.
Yes,
no pause. My number 6 take here. I love this one again because this is betting against media hype. Your top 3 transfer classes by 247, St. John's, Michigan, Louisville, all failed to make the second weekend.
Oh,
so the last 4 years since the portal's really hopped off, 12. This is a sample of 12, so it's really fool's errand here. But out of those 12, just one has made the second weekend, and I believe it was. I'd have to go back and look. It was somebody 2 or 3 years ago, but that's a 1 for 12 hit rate, my friend. Going really hard in the portal it just doesn't work out nearly as often as people think. I think a lot about that Arkansas team, the Nick Smith team, that got like preseason top 5 hype. I'm pretty sure they weren't ranked that high, but a lot of people were really high in that team. Just straight up didn't work out. I know they made the Sweet 16, but they were an 8 seed. They had to really scrap and claw to get there. The downside with these teams, we've gone over St. John's with the fit. We've gone over Louisville's defense. We haven't really touched on Michigan much. Michigan, I do like this team quite a bit. I think I have them in my top 10. But again, it being top 10 preseason guarantees you nothing. Hell, being top 10 on Selection Sunday guarantees you nothing with making the second weekend. There is a real path to where this offense doesn't click terribly well. I think that the problem that we're staring down here, and we talked about this in our Big Ten pod, is that 3 of their 4 best players are all front court guys, and I don't think you can play them together. We love Yax, we love Morez, we love Mata. I don't really want to see all 3 of those guys out there together, unless one of them is shooting quite a bit more than I've been led to believe. Dusty is so intelligent that I wouldn't doubt that he's able to cram it together and make it fit. And defensively, their upside is immense. I think I had them 2nd or 3rd in my defensive rankings. I'd have to go back and re-listen. But that is so those 3, there's a real path for disappointment for each of the 3 in March specifically.
Yeah.
Like Louisville can't get stops. St. John's, like the fit's effed up. They just can't get it together for long enough. Michigan's offense craps out. Like I can see it there.
I think it goes to show you that with these rankings, maybe sometimes they're too just like raw talent based, and credit to our colleague Matthew Winnick and a lot of the fit type questions he asks with his transfer rankings and his grades. Just bringing in a ton of really good players doesn't necessarily always work when they're a little bit duplicative. They play some of the same positions, like even Louisville's class. All right, we've just got like 3 incredible perimeter guys. They didn't bring in a big guy. Like if you traded Adrian Woolley for Ade Mata, would both these teams be better? Or if they traded like McNeely for Mata, they might make Michigan and Louisville better because the fits of those rosters might work a little more. But I think this is a very fun one because I hadn't realized the 1 for 12 historical stat with this, and that teams that really did go so hard in the portal and just loaded up on talent hasn't worked as well. I think maybe using the portal as like a way to accentuate your talent, a way to find guys that fit with what you are bringing back, is really the best way to do it and to raise your ceiling the highest. And you need a little bit of continuity for that.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Second one, Will, number 7 for you.
This is a subjective one, but God, do I love it. This should be Tom Izzo's final season. Go out while you can, Thomas. I'm not a hater of his. I think he's brilliant, one of the greatest coaches of all time. But my take here is twofold. One, this Michigan State team sets up to really frustrate him in a weird way, but also to be so good defensively that like them being a 4 or 5 seed, scrapping the way up to a respectable way to go out on. I kind of thought if he made the Final Four last year, he might retire, though I know like he would. It kind of goes against his being. But if they make like the Sweet 16 or something this year, I think you can go out and be pretty happy with that. But the other side of this is that there's a current barrage of really good options that could take over that job pretty smoothly. So if Drew Valentine makes the tournament at Loyola this year, for example, I like him a lot. You could go plunder like Michigan State. They are in a strange spot as a school where like their NIL is probably not quite as strong at a school level as a Michigan or as like an Ohio State or whatever, but it's still pretty darn good. Like they're going to be able to get their pick of guys, especially in the basketball side. With their program ranking of like being top 10 pretty early, they can go out and pluck just about anybody they want from like 25th on down. So like if Michigan State, I don't know, I'm spitballing here, was like, we want Buzz Williams. I know this sounds strange after 1 year at Maryland, but like Buzz likes to move. If they want Buzz Williams, they can probably go get Buzz Williams. They want Jared Calhoun, for example. They could go get Jared Calhoun and nobody would really blink. If they were like, Ben McCollum, come on up, probably say yes. There's a lot of guys that would go and take that job. And so the last thing that I really want to see a legendary coach do is hang on too long. Like we make the, Celtic Shaq meme a lot, but I also think of like, Pippen in his later years or Charles Oakley on the Toronto Raptors was really strange. You don't want to be in that situation.
Yeah, I mean,
I kind of feel
you could say that with some of the coaches lately, like your Jim Larinagas, Jim Boeheim's, where like they hung on and
Leonard
they
Hamilton
with some really bad teams. Yeah, Leonard Hamilton, great example. And there's the white whale coach for Michigan State in Nate Oates, where there's always the does he want to come back to the Detroit area? He's originally from Wisconsin. He coached at Detroit Romulus. There's been whispers that that's the job he would leave Bama for. I don't know if he would. I kind of don't think he would with Bama's NIL situation and just being in the strength of the SEC. But it's possible. And if they get, back whispers that he would, then man, yeah, it would be, it would make sense for them to just, let Izzo retire after this season. All right. Related to Big Ten, my next hot take, Will. Maybe it's not that hot temperature-wise, but relative to last year, I think it is. The Big Ten gets the most teams in the NCAA tournament. Now, last year, it got 6 fewer than the SEC. Like, if they were within 2 last year, maybe I'd feel like this is cold. But they got 8 last year. The SEC got 14. And it took a crazy year for the SEC. The Big Ten also has 2 more teams. That certainly helps. But I think the Big Ten's got the incredible depth and the top end of it. Like somebody like Michigan, I think is really good. Somebody like UCLA, Illinois, they're really good, but they can lose tough road games. And that's what you need. You need the bubbly teams to be able to pick off those top squads. Like Oklahoma and Georgia picked off just enough teams at home to get those Q1 wins that look good on Selection Sunday. Can Nebraska do that? Can Washington do that when you have to come all the way out west? I don't think Oregon will quite be on the bubble, but you need them to be able to pull it off. I think the Big Ten will get more than the SEC, more than the Big 12. And even if it's like, it could be as high as 12 teams of their 18. I just think the depth of this league really down to kind of 16, I think is what we said on our Big Ten pod preview, where Penn State and Rutgers are a little bit lower than that. But any of those teams have got a chance. And I think they end up passing the SEC.
Love this take because this is one that would make people insane. When the Big Ten basketball has like this strange power online to piss people off, and I can't really figure out. I understand like it's a little, or it wasn't this last year. A little slower, a little more half courty, like maybe not as pleasant to watch. It gives me the same vibes as SEC football fans talking about Big Ten football, actually. But the people who complain about Big Ten basketball don't really live in the South, so I don't know what's up there. So yeah, so it's a weird like conundrum going on, but them getting 12 teams in is like a really good formula to make a specific subset of college basketball fans, viewers, media, etc. very annoyed. So I'm actually really for this.
Would love to see it. And yeah, you just get a lot of like, they can't even win a national title in the last quarter century.
Yeah, it's been 25 years. Yeah, exactly. I'd be 26 by then.
Yeah, exactly. So why are we putting 12 of them in? They can't win the title. I think it'd be a great outcome and very, very plausible to me. Probably not as definitely not the hottest of my takes, but I'm putting it out there because they were 6 behind the SEC last year. All right, I've got 2 more team related ones and then one general sport related. So I'm going to go with that one and finish on the teams. This take is that we will see a much less efficient version of the sport this season. 2 straight years, the sport of college basketball has had its most efficient season. In 2024, the overall efficiency of the sport was 105.2. Last year, it was 106.2. Before both of those years, the previous high was 104.2. And there are some, tectonic changes for this. There's some reasons for this, like the block charge rule was big last year, and that carries forward this year. But I just think the loss of 2 classes of players is going to be really tough to overcome. A lot of veterans, a lot of guys that had figured out some of the speed of the game and the decision making, and it was helping the turnover rate, helping some of the shot making rate. I know there's like the continuation change this year, and there is another really good freshman class coming in to replace last year's awesome freshman class. But I just think we see a dip again after this real big ascension. And I think this is somewhat hot because KenPom has started efficiency this season at like 104.5, which would be higher than any season ever other than the last 2. And I just don't think we're going to see that. I think it's going to dip back down and we see a little bit sloppier version with true 4-year players back out there.
I'd be interested. There has to be a nerd on our Discord, and I'm saying this as a compliment, that would be able to run the numbers from exhibitions for this year versus exhibitions for the last couple of seasons and see like where the efficiency was at then compared to now. Because I do feel like from the games I've seen, the scoring is still up, but because it's exhibitions, they're faster. There's a lot of fouls, which is inflating the point totals. I won't be shocked at all if we see. I'm going to gauge here. It settles in around like 103 to 104 by year's end.
Yeah,
it's like a drop off, but I mean it's still like good. I think that the sport, because it's becoming a little more optimized, like you don't see as many mid-range jumpers anymore. Obviously, you don't see. I kind of wonder how, because we have coaches are getting younger, they're smarter, they know how to watch YouTube. If people are going to see that Jordan Sperber video about floater efficiency and teach their teams to take fewer floaters and runners this year, and we see 2-point percentage sort of stabilize because of that.
Yeah,
I won't be shocked if that's a fallout.
It's entirely possible, and even just the like influx more of 2 big lineups, and that's more at the top end of the sport, but that has seen an increase in offensive rebounding, which had declined for like 20 straight years, and suddenly we're seeing the value of offensive rebounds be placed on by coaches, which does increase efficiency a little bit. But I think 3-point percentage maybe will not be that high. I think turnover rate is going to go up a little bit this year with a lot of big decision makers gone. And as you mentioned, if it settles around 103, 104, that's where it was from 2016 to 2019. Totally reasonable for me. Back to pre-COVID levels. I know the portal has maybe helped a little bit, but it's really just not having those COVID year guys that I think is going to knock it down just a hair on the general level.
And the too big thing only goes so far, because what's going to happen this year, it's the same thing that happens in football when you see like a team without much talent try and copy like the Josh Heupel offense, and it's just like 3 and outs in 17 seconds.
Yeah.
You're going to see a lot of teams try and do the too big thing without two good bigs, and it's just going to be really crappy offensive basketball.
Yep. I think that is a great call. It's not fully repeatable if you don't have the players for it. All right.
Mm-hmm.
I believe that leaves me with one more and then 2 for you. Or excuse me, I got 2 more and then 2 for you.
Do you? Or did you just rip off 2 in a row?
I did rip off 2 in a row. So you get to go now.
Okay.
Yep.
Back to me. Gotcha. All right. This is one I'm swapping in at the last second because I don't think my other take was hot enough. I'll leave that as my bonus. This is a take based on history and based on something I could genuinely believe happening. 3 seed Iowa.
Oh, okay. I love it.
This goes back to what we said earlier. At least one team who didn't make the previous tournament, 5 straight tournaments, has been a 2 to 4 seed the next year. I am picking Iowa because I think that they've just got a tremendously high floor offensively. I know defensively, athletically, they're going to be a little overmatched, especially Isaiah Howard at the wing gives me some pause. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little scared of starting him.
Yep.
But Maniau at the 5, TBD. But they can swap in Tavian Banks and just kind of play it by ear there. But Sturtz, Hausen, Fulgaris, Banks off the bench as a microwave score. Cooper Cook, don't even know. We'll find out. Love it. Trey Thompson, I actually think, is ahead of schedule. They could play him a good bit. I love the offensive fit there. And I'm just at the point where I have bet on Ben McCollum so many times now and for so many years that I might as well just keep going back to the table until I, lose some money, until my chips get taken. I bet on them last year. I said, Drake's going to be really good last year, make the tournament. Did so. Didn't think they won 31 games, but ahead of schedule. I'm betting on this guy to keep winning until he doesn't.
Yeah, I don't see why. It's like we've made a couple football analogies here. Like, just keep running the same off tackle run until the defense stops it. Why? There's no reason to change it up. I think that's a great way to go about it. This team sets up to be really good. I think they were built to play up and be in a Big Ten where they slow it down. Maybe a little lack of depth and overall talent is offset by the pace that they play, the intelligence that they play with. And they do have, on most nights, not every single night in the Big Ten, they'll have the best player on the floor in Bennett Sturtz. And that is a major difference maker, especially when they make it such a shot clock dependent game. Like, who's going to be able to get the best shot at the end of the shot clock? Oftentimes that's Sturtz and that's Iowa. I think they're going to be a team that definitely exceeds like analytical expectations, because I think like Evan Mia's model, Ken Palm's model, it's hard to capture how good Ben McCollum is yet. And I think we'll start to see that in the future. But I think he's still a little undervalued. I love this take. I think all the way up to 3 seed would be a heck of a climb, but that's why it's a hot take.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
30%, baby. 30%.
That's right.
that might be more like who's, oh my God. There's a guy worse than Adam Dunn at the 3 true outcomes thing in baseball.
Oh,
he would bat like 180, but he'd hit 40 homers.
Was it Jock Peterson or something? Like, I don't know. He was pretty close. Jock Peterson's a 3 true outcomes guy.
I don't know. Yeah. Oh God, this would be a great immaculate grid. My next one here, this is why I cringed earlier, because I thought you were going to take this one. First team All-American, Josh Hubbard.
Ooh, wow.
I'm ready.
Okay.
I'm ready. So here's my theory. 1, somebody's got to score. And this is a Mississippi State roster that's going to be a little better offensively than defensively, I think. I think Chris Jans is a smart guy. I think he's going to realize pretty early on, we don't want Jaden Epps to be taking 17 shots a night. We like Jabari McGee. We don't really want him to be taking a ton of shots. Neither of your forwards, maybe a Core. Is it a Chore?
Yeah.
Or Chore, whatever. We don't know yet if he's ready to rip at this level. Quincy Ballard, I like a lot, but I don't think that he's going to be a high volume guy. Somebody has to take shots. Josh Hubbard freaking loves to take shots.
Oh, yeah.
It's not going to be a question of if, but when he scores 35 plus in a game this year. And given that somebody has to take shots, he's really efficient for how many he takes. Like, it is pretty crazy that given the style of shots he takes, given his height at 5'11, he hit 62% at the rim last year, by the way. That's really good
That's
for his size.
fantastic. Yeah.
88% at the line. Given the difficulty of the shots he takes, astonishing to me to go 120 offensive rating on a 25% usage last year. And if he can get anything from the supporting cast to help him out, anything to space it, because I think his usage is going to go way up this year to like 29, 30%. We're looking at a guy who could average 22 a game. And if you're up at that level of like 22, maybe even 23, and you're regularly playing 34, 35 minutes a night, I know that generally you need to be roughly a 5 seed or higher to make the first team All-American. But last year, Cam Jones came awful close to doing it. And he was on a 7 seed Marquette that was in a downward spiral by year's end. And he very nearly got first team All-American. If State is like a 7 or 8 seed and they're stable throughout the year, and he's averaging 22 or 23 a game, I definitely think this is possible.
Yeah, if he does it in the right games, like if he puts up 35 against Florida on national television and has 36 against Alabama in an up and down track meet on a Saturday on, I don't know if it's on CBS anymore. I don't know if they have the contract. I can't keep that all straight. I know the Big Ten's on CBS.
ESPN.
Okay.
It's a shame.
Okay. Carl Ravitch announcing, and I'm muting my TV. But if he does,
whoa,
Carl Ravitch, not a basketball
no
guy.
Offense to Carl if he's listening. Jesus. Jimmy subscribes to this. We can't, no hate on Jimmy.
I will not.
Don't know about Carl.
Jimmy's fantastic. That guy loves the SEC.
Jimmy, 2 thumbs up.
Yes, loves the SEC, and I love that he loves the SEC. But if Hubbard does that in some really big games, I think that could help just launch the narrative, especially because he's going to have the stats. If the narrative is on his side, then he could do it even if the team is only like 7 seed, as you mentioned.
Sean Paul, if you're listening, I need you to get out of the recording studio, which you were in 22 years ago for Temperature. And I need you, this is Sean Paul CBB. It's the same guy. I need you to start this narrative right now. Josh Hubbard, first team All-American.
Do it. Yeah. Get a groundswell going from the grassroots of the sport. That's the way to go.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I've got 2 left here. Wait, did you go twice? You did go twice.
Yeah. Those my 8 and 9.
Right, okay. 2 left here. I will start with my ACC related team and coaching change guess. And is that Virginia and NC State, a team I already mentioned my love for, both pass UNC, and Hubert is softly ushered out the door at Carolina. It's maybe not the hottest take, but just based on where these teams are in the preseason and some analytical rankings, I think it is a little bit hot to have them. Carolina's 33rd at KenPom. NC State is 38th. Virginia all the way down at 59th. Like that is definitely building in the question marks for their international front court. But if both these teams end up passing North Carolina, and if, say, even like Clemson is a little better than Carolina, and Clemson's right there with them in KenPom's preseason rankings, it's just not going to look good if Hubert is looking towards the edge of the bubble as he was last year. If he does that again, he had that big winning streak towards the end of the year that probably kind of saved his job. I know he's beloved in Chapel Hill, and there's not really a bad word said about him by anybody that knows him. It just feels like a blue blood with everything that Carolina's got should have more consistent winning. And you just look at like some of the hires, like Kansas hasn't missed. Duke doesn't really miss with hires. No one's really failed at UConn. Even Kevin Ollie won a national title there. And I don't feel like UNC is getting the same juice out of Hubert Davis. And I think this is the end of the line for him, Will. So maybe this is lukewarm, but that's why I tried to pair it with Virginia and NC State passing them.
How do you think they would frame it? Do you think that this is like a mutual parting of ways? This is like a Hubert is stepping down and taking a role within the athletic department?
That sounds right. Love that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, because there's a few different ways. So my personal experience with this was when the Lady Vols fired, she got reassigned to something else. Holly Warlick, who's the coach after Pat Summitt.
Okay.
An impossible job. It is kind of like following Roy at that point.
Yep.
And she was let go, but she like kept showing up at games. There's a no hard feelings thing. I think she's like a broadcaster now or something. I feel like that's the path out for Hubert, where it's like we're letting you go, but we're also just reassigning you to be like, something within the AD or basketball pro. You get a make work job, or you make 400,000 a year or whatever.
Yeah, let him just be around the program, shake some hands, kiss some babies. I think people would be happy to have him around, but just don't let him be in
You could
charge.
have him like help with NIL even. It wouldn't be that bad.
Yeah,
Just be like, hey, I'm Hubert. I'm here to sell you on coming to UNC.
and
I'm just not going to coach you.
and even like with his rallying donations, he'd be like, I'm Hubert, everybody loves me, and I'm not even coaching the team anymore. So you're donating to a team coached by shocking new hire X. I don't know if they'll pull somebody like Roy Williams from Kansas, like they were able to do back in the day there. But I think they'll go outside the family, and that could actually end up being a really exciting name for the Heels.
This is when I really miss. You remember Trill Ballins from Twitter?
I do. That sounds familiar. Yeah.
Oh God, amazing Twitter. I wish he could have been. I wish he was still on there to be UNC insider Trill Ballins, so he'd be like, I've heard UNC is looking at Brad Stevens. He would do that for every single hire because he's an Indiana grad.
Okay.
It was so good. He was he'd be like, I'm at Boston Garden, and they're chanting Can Stevens.
Oh man. Yeah, I mean,
Brad just like change it every now and then.
Brad Stevens, I'm sure they'll look at Jay Wright, as every program should do.
Yeah, Rick Pitino will be a candidate.
Yeah, for sure. All right, my last one is in the Big East. Villanova finishes ahead of Providence, and Providence has a new coach next year as well. So that part is not the hottest, but in combination with Villanova, who is picked 7th in the Big East preseason poll, compared to Providence, who is picked 4th. I'm saying Kevin Willard's band of odd misfit toys does finish ahead of what I do think is a better roster for the Friars. Just don't think it'll get maximized this year. I know there's a lot of hype around Nate Tibaldi, the assistant that Providence brought in to run the offense. I just think it's kind of run out of steam a little bit. And if they have a bad stretch at all early, the wheels could come off a little bit for the Friars. Villanova seems just like a high flourish team to me. It's going to be consistent, maybe not going to challenge the top of the league at all. But if they finish 4th in the Big East, I would not be shocked whatsoever. So I'm going with the Wildcats with Willard ahead of Providence, and Providence has to be on the coaching search, the coaching carousel next offseason.
Interesting. Okay, 2 things. I do like Providence this year. I think they're going to be a bubble team. But 2, what do you, as a Kim expert, I would say, what do you think he would do next? Because I have 2 paths in mind, and I want to hear yours first.
I loved somebody in the Discord floated parachuting to Colorado, where he was an assistant, if Tad Boyle is ready to move on. I don't hate that. And I don't, the expectations aren't going to be quite the same, not going to be under the microscope compared to like just Big East school fan base that is obsessed with their program. That might help him. I could also see him returning to an assistant for a little bit, but man, he's also charismatic as hell and loves the media. If he did TV, I could completely see that. Which ones do you see potentially for him?
I have 2 here, and these are both parachute jobs as well. 1, NBA assistant. I think that he could make a lot of sense on an NBA bench as like the out of bounds guy or something.
Okay.
Like they give it's kind of like how Stackhouse used to get a lot of buzz in NBA circles because they loved his out of bounds blob, slob, whatever designs. And that kind of got him he had relationships with Vandy, but that got him first the G League job, then the Vandy job. So I wouldn't be shocked if that's like a career rebuilder. But the second option here is the lateral move. So I don't actually see Colorado, but I see like, what if Damon Stoudemire gets let go at Georgia Tech? Like, could he slide in there as a just like a clock resetter? If I'm just scanning the list here, like Penn State parts ways with Mike Rhodes. Could he slide in over at Penn State? Could he take a high level mid-major job and try and reset the clock that way?
Yeah.
I think that'd be my pick, is either NBA assistant or lateral move.
Yeah, love the NBA assistant. Look what Kyle Neptune just did. He sort of failed upwards there. That could work out. And the parachute thing, yeah, he's just so like well connected, and I think people think very highly of him. So he should be able to find a gig if he wants one. He's from the DMV. I know you floated. I forget which pod we talked about it on, but him returning to George Mason if Skin got a better job somewhere, I think that'd be kind of fun. He will probably get his choice of gigs if it comes to that. But hey, that's my hot take, is that he will have to make that decision.
I got to scan the list of Rick Barnes' stops in his coaching career to see where he might go next.
Okay.
He's 2 for 2 so far. I don't think Clemson's opening, though.
Yeah, no, Brad Brownell is immortal. We know that.
Could get Ohio State. I didn't realize Rick was an assistant at Ohio State. So there you go.
Oh, okay. There we go. That's fun. Yeah, Texas probably not opening since they just changed coaches, but okay.
Davidson a little low on the totem pole, I would say.
Yeah, but it could open. All right. Will, let's wrap it up with your 10th. That was my 10th. And I have like a bonus one that I don't fully believe, but I'm going to throw out there.
This is an absolute flamer. I'm proud of this one, and I am ready to let it rip. Virginia Tech should extend Mike Young.
Oh, wow. Yeah, this will upset a few people.
Here is my philosophy. You never want to get, to quote my grandmother, too big for your britches. And I think that the Buzz Williams era perhaps got Virginia Tech basketball too big for its britches and made them overestimate what they might be. This is by far a football first school. Buzz getting to a 4 seed is easily the best result they've ever had, by a shocking margin in modern history. You look through their pre-Buzz era, so 97 to 2014, one tournament bid in 18 years, Seth Greenberg, shout out. And I'm looking through here, I think 4 top 50 finishes in 18 tries. Mike Young, I know people really don't like him right now, has 2 in 6 seasons, as well as 2 tournament bids. Came fairly close in 2024, 58th. I know that 2023 was a big swing and a miss. I know they were really rough last year. And I know that people have kind of formed a weird bandwagon around them this year that I'm not really understanding. I don't quite see the vision there. But that being said, there's something to say about just like meeting your historical standards. And Mike Young meets the historical standards of Virginia Tech and has like a path to getting back to exceeding them. Tech is also in the midst of a football, changeover right now. They just fired their football coach, I think 4 weeks ago. They're going to spend a lot of money there to get fill in the blank from probably James Madison or whoever. I don't know. I don't think that you should fire a guy who has generally been at or slightly above where you've been historically.
Yeah, it's tough because he's coming off the absolute like nadir of his coaching career with Virginia Tech pulling outside the 150. And I don't necessarily think they're going to get all the, like, I think somebody posted in the Discord of them finishing 6th in the ACC. And I can't quite envision them getting that high. It's a lot of continuity from a team that finished outside the top 150. And I love Havdalas, but I don't know if he's quite to that level. If they have to pay a football coach or from a lower level, or even if they try to go the Shane Beamer route and bring him home, the son of Frank, that would probably be expensive to pry him away from South Carolina, even though Carolina's maybe not overly thrilled with him right now. That would impact the potential for Young here. I do still think he's a good coach, and if he wants to keep going, even if they do not extend him and choose to move on, I think he could find another place that would be thrilled to have him on the sideline. It just hasn't worked out entirely in the NIL era, and we'll see if they're able to actually elevate a lot relative to last year. Can they get in like the at-large conversation? I think that would be a big win for them.
Yeah, I mean, like if they're on the bubble or near it, I think that's a good season for them. But what it reminds me of when I see their fans really upset at him is when there's like some buzz, and it thankfully died down towards the end, of Washington State fans being annoyed that Mike Leach couldn't get them over the heap. You're Washington State.
Yeah.
Look at your history. Like, I'm sorry, but like, it's not like Virginia Tech doesn't even have the history of like Virginia, obviously, in basketball. They don't have a title. And not to like shit all over Virginia Tech's Fruit Loops, but I just think there's something to accepting, like, it's really hard to make the leap even from mid-level ACC to, second tier. If you can just stay in the mid-level and wait for a year and shove the chips in, that's fine.
Yep. There's some be careful what you wish for. Like trying to think of a program that applied here, like Minnesota letting go of Richard Pitino after he finished 46th, 27th, and 62nd. And they hire Ben Johnson, and he never finishes better than 78th in 4 years, including 1 year outside the top 200. Now they ended up with Nico Medved. That worked out. But yeah, I think if you push a little too hard on a guy that has had success and just goes through the cyclical dips of a program that's not at the elite level, then you could end up in a even worse spot. And that's scary.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, that's our 10. I'm going to throw this last one out because I am a Chicago resident and I think it's fun. DePaul's the best team in Chicago this year. I'm not quite sure I buy that if they're better than Northwestern or even Loyola, who both have built really solid rosters. Northwestern's got a great coach in Collins, or he's been great recently. And DePaul has not been close to the best team in Chicago, but I'm going to put them above UIC and Chicago State comfortably. And the hot take would be them ascending past the Purple Cats and past the Ramblers. It has not been the case for a long, long time. And I didn't fully lean into this one, and I'm not going to celebrate it if I'm right because I'm not making my official 10. But I was close. I was close there.
Yeah, my bonus when I removed at the last second was that Indiana will have their best Ken Pump season since Tom Crean when they finished 11th in 2016. So the only thing they got to do to top that is finish better than Mike Woodson's 30th in 2023. But I don't really believe in IU as a top 30 team. I think they're top 40. And it's not like this would be that big of an overachievement. So I kind of felt bad including it. So left that one on the sidelines waiting, but I definitely think they can get there. It's not like it's an outlandish take. And this is probably going to be their most analytically inclined coach in a while in Darien. So
it is wild that Indiana's gone 9 years without being in the top 30 of Ken Pom. The top 29, I guess.
I can know they're a 4 seed, but that was a pretty fake 4 seed rescued by TJD.
Yep. And it didn't even make the Sweet 16. So yeah.
Got annihilated.
Yeah. All right. That's it. Rick, Will, anything else to add before we say our goodbyes here?
Thank God the preseason's over, and thank God that real games are coming our way. I know these exhibitions are kind of like it's a little preseason football to me, where it's like fills the need a little bit. It's kind of like I'm getting my hit, I'm getting my fix in somewhat, but I need the games to matter. I need them to be, I need my regularity where it's not like I'm scrapping out for UConn plus to watch freaking Michigan State play UConn. I mean, it was honestly nice for Duke and Tennessee to at least be on ESPN2 the other night.
Yeah.
I was happy about that. I didn't have to scrap and claw to watch, 2 top 20 teams play each other.
Exactly. We're going to have some big games to discuss during the season. We have not completely nailed down a format for this show during the year. I think it's going to evolve as it goes on. Will and I will probably just talk about what we want to talk about based on the results we've seen, the numbers we're seeing. And we're going to try to, keep it stats focused as mentioned, but that is the goal for the year. We'll feel it out with you guys, the listeners, and figure out what people like, what we like to put together for the show. But we're excited. We're excited to have real games, real results to discuss rather than just takes and speculation. So that is coming less than a week away. We're pumped. Thank you to everybody for listening. Thank you to Shirley Donovan, to Corey Aldis, our producer, to Sam Frayer, our graphics guy, and everybody behind the scenes, Home Field Apparel as well. Subscribe to Basketball Under Review. If you have not yet, do it. If you have, tell a friend for college basketball season to get in, dig in. There's Will's short court for those watching the YouTube video. Really great Basketball Under Review swag. So yes, get into the Burr world for college hoops. That's my last imploring to you for the preseason. All right, that's it. Thank you for everybody for tuning in. We'll catch you next week with games to discuss. Can't wait. Cheers.